It's like I was the only one watching the movies. Guys. Hey guys. Welcome to Real Movie Lovers, a podcast about real filmmakers having real discussions about real life. Topics include movies, TV, current events, and tech news. I'm your host, Lisa. Bahad is still on hiatus, so it's just going to be you and me today. Which isn't bad. It's good. You're going to have fun. We're going to have fun here. But before you do, hit the subscribe button, notification, like all the lovely things. We're trying to build a community here. And without further ado, let's dive into the show. First, I'm going to start with movies and TV that I've checked out. So I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of stuff this past week because of Thanksgiving and all the lovely things with the holidays. But I checked out Watchers, which is oh man, I'm ashamed that I didn't write her name down. But it was the new horror movie directed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, one of them. Not the one that was in Trap. The other one. So this is a film that she's her directorial debut. And I had heard different things about it. I had heard that, it wasn't well received in the theaters or didn't do so well. So I went in trying to temper my expectations and just kind of see what's going on. I even dragged my feet to watching it because the different things that I was hearing. Now, I'm going to preface this with the fact that I am a M. Night Shyamalan fan, and I will die on this hill. I will defend most of his movies. There's a couple that I'll give to you aren't that great, but most of his movies I enjoy. And I like that he always comes with original ideas. We see so many sequels these days and reboots and remakes and blah, 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 which they're fun, but it's a lot. So whenever he comes with a new original idea, I'm automatically giving it my attention. And it would seem that his daughter is in the same realm. Oh, he probably does. You guys probably didn't hear that. It's an ambulance. Hopefully someone's okay. So it would seem that his daughter is kind of in the same realm. Like she's had, this idea of this young woman played by Dakota Fanning. She is, she hasn't talked to her sister in years, it seems. She's just kind of going through life, living, I think in Ireland, I think it was, or near Ireland is where the setting is, the location. She works at a pet store and she's supposed to take this bird, hand deliver it, which involves driving near the woods. Automatic no for me. But what ends up happening, she gets lost and her car suddenly stops working in the middle of the woods. No. And what is perceived from there is that something is in the woods that chases her, and she manages to make it to some facility that's literally built in the woods where she meets a few other people who are trapped there by beings they cannot see, with certain rules where they're not going outside at night, the watchers, if you would. It's very much leaning into mythology and fairy tale elements. I enjoyed it. I really did. I don't see what the big fuss is. I feel like people came in with what's the word I'm thinking of? Preconceived notions about what to expect, or they already made up their minds. Now, not to say this is a glowing, what's the word? A perfect movie by any chance. No, I'm not saying that. But the story, I believe the idea is really original. It's good. And Dakota Fanning is an excellent actress. The supporting cast did a good job as well. The pacing was a little bit off I would not say the beginning, maybe the beginning of the act 2. It was just a little bit, maybe not that it was too long, because the movie doesn't feel long at all. I believe some elements could have maybe been readjusted a little bit. And I think the ending of this movie, because what they're trying to do is escape that place, but it's one of those things where it's like once you enter, it's impossible to leave. Practically impossible to leave because of the creatures and elements there that are trying to not only keep you there but harm you. The ending may be what messed up some people. I enjoyed the ending. I like the ending. A good story with a dissatisfying ending can ruin a whole movie for a person. So I can understand people going in, seeing it and being like, not leaving feeling justified. The tone, which I find with M. Night Shyamalan movies, especially ones that have horror elements to them, there's always a whimsical, hopeful underbelly ending to them, which I enjoy. But sometimes the way it's done can adjust the tone a bit too much for someone. If you're kind of giving me this deep, thrilling, scary tone, and then in the end you switch it and it's more light and free and happy, it may be a little jarring. Not that this has some super happy ending. The ending I did not see coming, that I will say. And true to form, it does have a twist. For people who are a little bit more eagle-eyed and paying attention, you can probably get the twist early on. I'm one of those people that, for the most part, I can immerse myself into a movie and just be so immersed in it and following the characters in the story that I don't spend time trying to figure things out. I like having things lay out and happen. Unless it's abundantly obvious. Like in Scream 2, when obviously, the other student in the class is one of the killers. Obviously. They didn't even try. But that's another story for another day. We're not going to get into Scream 2. Not going to do it. So, that being said, first of all, if you're an M. Night fan, recommend The Watchers. You will enjoy it. I cannot believe I don't have his daughter's... Hold on. I want to have her name properly and kick myself for not having that done. Do your research. Now, if you're not a fan of M. Night or any of his movies, this might not really be the film for you. Not to say that it's not a good movie. It's just that the way it's directed and, obviously elements of her father is filtered in through her work. So if you don't like his way of filming or how he does his movies and storytelling, you may not like this. It's I believe I'm saying this correct. Ishana Shyamalan is the director and co-writer of this movie. So still recommend. What would I rate it out of 10? Like a 6.5, 7. That's what I give it. That's what I would give it. I also checked out Mad Max Fury Road, the 2015 movie with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, that I swore I watched this movie when it came out and didn't like it. And I realized upon a second viewing recently that I didn't watch the movie. I only saw like 10 minutes of it. And I just wasn't in the mind frame at the time to enjoy it. So I didn't bother. So I didn't really care for it. I go to watch it. The movie blew me away. I see what everybody was talking about now. As a matter of fact, I dived into a whole like deep conversation with a guest I have on Hot Take Tuesday lives, or what I do. I have hot takes that I drop about movies, and then that next day, Wednesday, I have live conversations on Instagram with guests, and we talk about movies. So I ended up doing that. You can find the I might link it here or in the in the video somewhere on on the YouTube channel. It's posted. You can see it. Check it out. It was a great conversation. We dived into a lot of elements with the movie and messaging, the theme. It was great. It was great. So if you haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road, I recommend it. And if you are one of the people who didn't enjoy the older versions with Mel Gibson, I think you should still watch this. You will enjoy it. I don't remember enjoying the Mel Gibson ones. I was also much younger when they came out, but this one was great. So, a little something there. All right, now that being said, oh, you know what? Drop in the comment section like what you guys have checked out. What movies and TV have you seen? Let's get a dialogue going. And what do you recommend that I watch? I'm recommending Watchers and Mad Max. What are you recommending? Our first movie news topic of the night is Scream 7, casting Ghostbusters and Madame Web Starr in slasher sequel. So Celeste O'Connor, who she was one of the women in Madame Web, which I haven't watched. She was one of the young teenage girls or whatever who's supposed to get powers or something. She's been cast in Scream 7. Don't know what the role is, but the reason why I even wanted to bring this up is because of all of the things going on with Scream 7 that kind of off-kiltered it. You know, we had Jennifer Ortega, what's her name? Melissa Barrera. I don't remember. Hold on. Yeah. Melissa Barrera and Melissa Barrera and Jennifer Ortega. They had started to kind of divert the Scream series. Was it 5? Yes, Scream 5, which I enjoyed. Outside of them taking liberty with one of the characters from the original, I don't like what they did with it. I won't give it away, but choices that they made or how they decided to have something happen to a certain character, I'm not with. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. Scream 6 was still fun. And I definitely enjoyed like how it opened up in everything at the beginning. So I was very interested in what they were going to do with Scream 7. And then all the controversy happened. And then, Melissa Barrera was fired. Jenna Ortega, she tapped out. She quit. So it left them holding the bag, basically. Now, what's funny is that Naomi Campbell was not in Scream 6 because of conflicts with pay. She was asking for more, and they didn't want to meet her I guess there was no negotiation in process, which she basically spearheaded this series for 4 years. I'm sorry, not 4 years, for 4 movies. She was what kept the series going. Give the woman what she wants, but I digress. Everything came back around full circle, basically. Because now, Naomi Campbell, for those that don't know, she's back on the project. It's going to be about her now. And Scream 3, Patrick Dempsey was in Scream 3. He was the cop that was trying to save her. The story now is that they've been married. They have a daughter. He might even be in Scream 7. They're definitely going to feature Sidney Prescott's daughter in Scream 7, who is being played by Isabel May, who she's, I think, the older sister in the Young Sheldon show. I've only seen snippets of the show. She's going to be the daughter. So we don't have a lot of information about the plot. And Courtney Cox, who plays Gail Weathers, she has said that she is not currently signed on, not officially, but that there will be a Scream 7 movie, which is telling me nothing. So maybe she's in negotiations in order to be in Scream 7. They're trying to come to the table in agreement, or maybe they're trying to figure out a way to effectively include a character in the story, because whatever they had going as far as like where it was headed, they had to take a deep detour. So rewrites, new writers, all kind of stuff going on. Well, I don't think it's new writers. Actually, let's see. I think it said that the original writer for the first one. Okay, so yes, the original screenwriter, Kevin Williamson, is returning as the director, stepping into Wes Craven's shoes. Okay. All right. I want to see what this looks like. I definitely want to see what this looks like. Yeah. I was on board with like the direction with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, but now we're bringing back the old favorites and let's see what's going on. Now, I'm going to quote Jenna Ortega, who had made I'm going to quote Jenna Ortega. She said, the business that we work in is so touchy-feely. Everybody wants to be politically correct, but I feel like in doing that, we lose a lot of our humanity and integrity because it lacks honesty. I wish that we had a better sense of conversation. Imagine if everyone could say what they felt and not be judged for it. And if anything, it sparks some sort of debate, not an argument. I agree. I agree with this statement. We don't always agree on things. We have different viewpoints on things, but it's opportunity for discussion. It's an opportunity for open communication and to kind of lay out our feelings, our thoughts on the table for each other, for everyone to view, but not, a separate conversation. But I agree with Jenna Ortega, and I wish that things had gone a little differently with them. But I am excited for Neville Campbell. And I said Neville Campbell? Oh my gosh. Neve Campbell. Return. Now, the real question is, how are they going to address Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera's character's absence? What essentially is making Ghostface come back to Sidney Prescott? He's leaving the new generation alone and coming back to Sidney Prescott. Like, why? What's happening? We can expect to have those answers February of 2026. So a little over a year. Right? Yeah, a little over a year. Oh my goodness. The film is going to be 30 years old in 2026. That's right. It came out in 1996. I'm getting old. On to our next story. Oh, I should be asking you guys questions. I need to. I apologize. I want to make this more of a two-way conversation. Are you guys excited for Scream 7? How do you feel about the changing of the guard? And will you plan to watch it? Let me know. Our next story, horror director Eli Roth talks making low-budget scares versus blockbuster films. So Eli Roth is a horror director with some serious talent. He has been known for Hostel, Cabin Fever. He's definitely dabbled in the independent projects, the low budget films. Most recently, he directed Borderlands, which was the movie based on the video game that was not well received, but I don't think that was entirely on him. I think first of all, from what I understand, I've never played the game. Before I understand, the casting was a little bit off. They aged up a lot of characters. They casted funny people for serious roles and vice versa, which is hit and miss because comedy does come from tragedy. So actors who are funny or comedic a lot of times can dive deep and pull out the drama. I'm probably not going to watch Borderlands, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't for me. But he was comparing that working on a low budget film versus like a mega budget film, like the differing things you deal with, which is more money, more problems. Now, what he has said that kind of I agree with as well, and is kind of insight in regards to low budget, is that what's great is that if you can't tell if someone's a good director when they've been given a budget of $200 million because there's too much money. But when someone pulls off a great movie for $1 million, you're like, damn, this person knows how to direct. And I have seen where doing more with less gives you a much better product than getting like bloated budgets and it just crashing and burning. We've actually all seen this. Look at, not to dump on Disney or Marvel, because I know everyone always does, it's the easy target, but just for the example of this conversation, I'm going to bring it up. Look at the Marvel movies, the Disney movies, how the budgets just kept getting more and more and more inflated. Part of some of that inflation with some of those budgets is because they are making changes in the middle of production, which sometimes you have to do. But from what I've heard, sometimes a script isn't even fully written yet and they're already filming the movie. So that could, inflate your budget as well. You're making changes in the middle of things, having to reshoot things, or pre-production is important. And the better your pre-production and planning is, the better chance that production will go off smoothly. And the less money you will essentially burn. But I'm not in the room. I'm not on these sets. There's a lot of moving parts. I've never directed a big budget movie, so I'm not going to pretend like I know everything that I'm talking about. But Roth was talking about how low budget productions demand ingenuity. Ingenuity. Okay. It's one of those words that is like, it's reading it and hearing it are two different things. Ingenuity. Yes. Low budget productions demand ingenuity and adaptability, separating directors who thrive under constraints from those who rely heavily on financial backing. It is much easier to have a big budget and make things happen. And if you come across problems, you can kind of throw money at it. But when you are working with a finite number of resources, you have to really think on your feet and adapt, which I have had to do as an indie filmmaker and director. You definitely have to be ready to pivot. Now, studios will look at a director to see what they did with nothing. I didn't know that. That's what Eli Roth is saying, that studios will check out directors who maybe had a finite amount of resources and see what they were able to do with that. And they're like, oh, that's what you did with $100,000? Great. Here's $10 million. What you going to do with that? Maybe it's not that easy, but something like that. Now, it's also a test of a filmmaker because it's not about framing the shots. It's about how good of an improviser you are. And as I mentioned earlier, more money, more problems. So you having this finite amount of resources to work with, it can be challenging, but it's also all under your control. You start bringing in studio money, investors' money. They want to have says. They want to have their opinions. They want to impart their vision or their impression of what would make a better movie. Which, there have been times where studio notes saved a movie. But there have been way more times, from what I know, where it made it worse. So Eli Roth agrees with me. He says, you suddenly encounter a whole set of other problems that you never thought you'd have to deal with when bringing on studio money. The more money that gets spent, the more nervous they get, the more they want to control things. See? Then suddenly your battles become completely different. The battle isn't having enough money. It's about just fighting creatively over what they need to do. Segue, while still on subject with Eli Roth, his movie, Thanksgiving. what I found about that in researching this is that he originally had a couple of nude scenes in Thanksgiving. And when they did the test audiences, they did not receive those two scenes very well. And I can tell you specifically what the two scenes were. One was there's a scene where a college girl is jumping on the trampoline. It doesn't end well for her. But originally, like, because Thanksgiving was based off some other like shorts that he did, and she originally wasn't supposed to have a top on. Just, flying free. And the other one was a character who was literally getting baked inside of an oven. You heard me. So those were the two scenes that audience didn't receive very well, but not because they didn't like the idea of a character in an oven or her jumping on a trampoline and getting stabbed. Spoiler alert. It was because of the exposed skin. So he edited those two to make sure that they were both clothed, and it went over very well. It would seem that in a 2023 UCLA study found that young audiences are generally less comfortable with sex and film. News to me. Actually, no, it's not. I have read reports on that. Now, what was funny about that, because the article also states that they're not as comfortable as older generations were at that age with that. I can definitely see that, because in the 80s, them slasher films, them horror films, let me tell you what you were getting for 100%. You were getting boobs and stabbing. 100%. Maybe a little intimacy too. That's what you were at. That's what was being thrown in these movies. And now it's kind of like they're pulling back from that, not doing that as much anymore, because the newer generation, they don't really want it in their movies like that. They don't mind having it on their phones though, or on OnlyFans or laptops, but it would seem that in a public place, in a public setting like a movie, they're not as comfortable with that. But you guys know how rules go. There are always exceptions to the rules. So where Eli Roth's Thanksgiving movie needed to pull back and make sure there wasn't nudity, Terrifier is going all in. The Terrifier movies are wild, which I forgot to mention and checked out. I recently watched Terrifier 3. We'll get there. So to give you an idea of the stark difference between Terrifier and Thanksgiving, how I mentioned the scene that he adjusted was the young girl jumping up and down without a shirt on. In Terrifier 1, spoiler alert, and I don't even know if I want to say trigger warning, because I don't know if that even counts. This should not be a common thing, but in Terrifier, he literally takes a saw and saws a woman in half, a unclothed woman in half, and you literally see all of it. I mean, the practical effects and makeup are astounding. I understand why these series has a cult following, and it's kind of moving up in the ranks. And no one said a peep. And every movie has escalated not only the violence and the gore, but the nudity. Terrifier 3 has one of the most shocking shower scenes I've ever seen on film in this horror element. If you are squeamish, if horror movies aren't your thing and slash movies aren't your thing, this is not the series for you. So in terms of giving you guys an idea of what I mean with Terrifier 3, what he did that I mentioned in 1, he did the same thing, but with the male. And again, you saw everything. No one said a peep. As a matter of fact, Terrifier 3 broke records. I don't see where I put it, but yeah, it broke records. It brought in like, I think, $88 million on a $2 million budget. And Thanksgiving was a I think $15 million budget, if I'm not incorrect. Night and day, right? What people weren't ready for in Thanksgiving, they embraced in Terrifier. Now, these are also different movies, different characters, different villains, different tones. Thanksgiving felt more like a horror comedy, and Terrifier was like this just slasher gore fest. So you're kind of going with different expectations. So when you're going to see a movie, I believe, depending on the different genre, there are certain things that you expect or you're willing to ride along with. I'm not going to go watch a drama about a mother-daughter relationship with the same level of expectation as I would a superhero movie. So I'm watching a superhero movie, I have to already suspend, belief that superheroes exist. Whereas this is more grounded. You know what I mean? So it's just, I think that possibly the genre, the characters, the story, and even how it was marketed and everything about it is why you can get away with nudity in one film, but not the other. Plus Art the Clown, the villain, who just goes around just killing people. He is a favorite amongst fans. And people are cosplaying him like crazy, which I don't know how comfortable I am about that. Not because you can't do that, but because he looks so freaky. I know. So now the director of Terrifier, his name was it Damien? Yeah, Damien Leone. He got in on the conversation about, budget and filming as well. And he said, when I was making the first Terrifier, we only had $35,000. And I would say to myself, why on earth would a horror movie fan come watch my $35,000 horror movie when they can watch the biggest $20 million horror movie? Then I realized I could show them things that they're not allowed to see anywhere else. There it is. So he leaned into exploitation with the sequels as a means of upping the ante for his massive audience. There's almost no doubt that will include more nudity. See? You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like how, I'll bring up Fast and the Furious, how the series started out with dudes in fast cars stealing DVD players or something of that effect. And then as you were going along, they're being relied on by the government is expecting them to do things. They're going to space in cars. You have to up the ante. So for Terrifier, what does that look like? More gore, more deaths, more boobies. And to the surprise of no one, there is a Terrifier 4 coming, as well as a Thanksgiving 2. So it says that Terrifier 3 and the forthcoming Thanksgiving 2 exist in an emerging genre niche that feels at once ultra indie and mainstream. These type of movies are going to be growing more. Like Terrifier really set a precedent, and Thanksgiving came behind and did, as far as to kind of support it. You're going to be seeing more of this. The attractive thing about horror movies is they are cheap to make comparatively to most other genres like sci-fi, action adventure. A good horror movie with scary music, low lighting, a really awesome villain, you're practically there. Although Terrifier actually had bright lighting. There wasn't really any low lighting, which now that I think about it, I really appreciate that about that. I do. Are you guys looking forward to Thanksgiving 2? Have you seen the first one? If you haven't and you like slasher films, you're going to love it. It's so fun. It's so much fun. And who are my Terrifier fans? Drop a clown emoji in the comment if you're a Terrifier fan. Yes, we'll do that. Let's do that. I am not a crazy fan. It's just I got sucked into it by my kids because I saw the Terrifier. I was like, I'm not interested in that movie. And then they wanted to see it, and then I saw it, and then now it's like our thing that we do together. We watch the Terrifier movies. So I will absolutely be watching part 4. And probably part 7, because there's got to be a 7th one. That's the thing about horror. A good horror movie with a interesting villain can get you far. Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees. Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy. Technically Final Destination with Death. I think they're working on a 6th film that I will definitely be watching. Next story. Regal Cinemas refinances debt with a new $1.9 billion loan. I'm going to be honest with you. I would like movie theaters to hang in there and still be around. As awesome as it is, watching a movie or a TV show from the comfort of my own home with loved ones and enjoying, which is a process that I enjoy very much, going to the movies with a community is also very fun. Especially if it's like a horror movie or a comedy. Those are, I think, 2 of the most fun movies to watch with an audience. Because horror movies, people are reacting just like you. Like there's the gasping and the scream, like the shocks, the shrieks, Sometimes someone will yell out, get out, don't open that door. 9 times out of 10, that person is me. They never listen. But so given the climate, given the change in society, culture, given the pandemic, given streaming, I did not have faith that a lot of movie theaters were going to come out on top. And hearing about Regal Cinemas being approved for $1 billion loan, I'm like, wow, who's giving movie theaters a loan? That's great. I don't think I would have thought to do it, but let's see more about what this entails. So, Regal Cinemas is one of the world's largest movie theater chains. Okay, right there. It's one of the world's largest movie theater chains and has secured new financing to restructure a portion of its debt. So if one of the largest movie theater chains is having to take out a loan to try to work out their debt, what's going on with the other theater chains? How are they doing? Y'all all right? AMC, where you at? Apparently, the company has arranged a $1.9 billion loan that extends maturity dates to as far out as December 1st, 2031. The refinancing comes after a record-breaking Thanksgiving at the box office, though overall North American revenues remain down by 6.4% from 2023 and 24% from pre-pandemic times. Regal Cineworld generated over $1 billion in total revenue in the third quarter of the year. So they had a good third quarter and they were like, bet. We need to restructure. We got some money coming in. Let's make things happen. And they can thank Inside Out 2 for that, Deadpool and Wolverine, Twisters, and even Despicable Me 4 They were the biggest quarter 3 earnings for the circuit. Those movies did hit. They made bank. Rightfully so. Inside Out 2, very good. Deadpool Wolverine, man, that movie's so daggone fun. And Deadpool is my kind of comedy, like that snarky, sarcastic, flick back. Yeah, love it. Love it. In quarter 3, Regal Cineworld welcomed over 49 million guests to their theaters and generated total revenue of over $1 billion with record high levels of spend per person on concessions. So not only were people coming to the theater and watching movies, they were buying the snacks and not smuggling them in like some people do. I might be some people. But sometimes the snacks are lame. Like, you know what I mean? Like they don't sell everything. But wow. So with the refinancing transaction, they're going to save $60 million per year in interest expense, which puts a successful restructuring squarely in the past. Now, the next question I'm guessing you guys want to know is, who lent them this loan? Where does money come from? So glad you asked. Barclays, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and Texas Capital served as arrangers and bookrunners for the loan. Okay. Using your powers for good. I feel like this is a good thing. People who don't enjoy the movie going experience is not for everyone, but movies, concerts, comedy shows, these are community activities, communal events for different people to kind of come and enjoy something from all walks of life. So I don't want 30 years from now there not to be any theaters. I know there won't be as many. So to give a little backstory on that, Cineworld, which is the parent company of Regal Cinemas, they had filed for bankruptcy in September 2022 as global theater chains were struggling to rebound from prolonged COVID-related closures and a lack of new releases. Right. So coming out of the pandemic and dealing with closures, and then there was the strike that happened. The hits were just coming. Acuna, a former Cinepolis executive, was hired in July 2023 to replace the former chief executive Mookie Greg Digger. I'm butchering these names, I'm sure. I'm sorry. Later that month, Cineworld emerged from Chapter 11 after reducing its debt levels. Oh, okay. So Acuna came in and was like, you know what? Let's restructure all of this. Let me handle that. Let's move that, change that, check that, do that. And they emerged out of Chapter 11 with less debt levels. Okay, that's what Chapter 11 does. You're supposed to be able to remove debts anyway. But still, I think this is good news. Are you guys still going to the theaters? Do you still go to movies? Now, what has changed for me because of streaming, not only is there a absurd amount of content available on streaming at all times, but now it makes me more choosy about what I see in the theaters. The combination of streaming, the combination of higher ticket movie ticket prices, because I remember when the matinee used to be like $5, $6. I don't even know if there really is a matinee anymore. It used to be before 5, and then it was before 3. And now I don't even know if it's anything outside of before 12, maybe. I have no idea. I've not really gone to matinee like that in a long time. But instead of going to movies, once or twice a month, I probably go way less than that. there are certain movies now that I, even though appreciate it in a communal setting because of the pricing and time, let's not forget time, I have to be a little bit more choosy. So I'm less inclined to go to the theater for a, you know, dramatic movie about a person trying to survive in the wake of a death or something versus this new sci-fi space movie or this really scary new concept movie. It just is what it is. I don't know if I'm alone with this. Are you guys feeling the same way that I'm feeling or no? Let me know, because yeah. But I hope that movie theaters can rebound and that we can start enjoying them a little bit more again together. Although I will say, sometimes the movie going experience is tainted a little bit when you have people who are on their phones and like, and I'm gonna sound like an old, miserable person when I say this, but you're at the movies. The theater's dark, and it's like that for a reason. Immerse yourself in the movie. Don't worry about texting, checking emails, social media, all those. It will still be there, I promise you. Just give this your hour and a half, 2 hour attention span. Although I will say the movies that are coming out now, they are like 2.5 hours long or more. I'm like, guys, we're trying to get people to come back. Let's temper it down a little bit. Now, in sequel, remake, reboot news, let's go on to our story that, because we have so many reboots, sequels coming out. I already mentioned Scream 7, that I try to have like a little segment where I talk about a reboot or a sequel. This one is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I did not know they were coming out with a remake for that movie. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, it came out in 1992, and it was about a I want to say emotionally / mentally disturbed young woman. She lost her baby. Her partner had offed himself because he was exposed by a woman for inappropriate attention during a exam. She was pregnant. So this lady blames that woman for ruining her life, even though, grief does strange things to people, especially if you're already kind of off a little bit. So she ends up going to pose as a nanny. She changes her name and everything and starts taking care of that baby and the family. And she is wrecking stuff. She's trying to take over. It's a very good thriller. That's the movie they're trying to remake right now. So they have Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's from Final Destination 3, Cloverfield Lane. She is playing the mother. And who is it? Maika Monroe from It Follows and Longlegs. She's going to be playing the unhinged nanny. And Raul Castillo from Army of the Dead, he's going to be the husband. So I'm not sure what they're going to change in the reimagining of this film, because the first film was just done, and like the way the story was told, the unhinging, the choice, like it was done in such a wonderful way that I'm very curious to see what elements they're going to change, what they're going to bring in this time around. As much as I don't like reboots and I don't like remakes, because I think there was another remake of this movie before some years ago. I didn't watch it, but it had a different name. It was like a, its own version of this movie. I do like who they've casted in these roles. I like these actors, and I feel like it could work. Am I alone in this? How are you guys feeling about this one? Yay, nay. Did you guys watch it? Because the Hand That Rockets the Cradle is from 1992. So I feel like most of my audience is around my age range. It's okay if you're not. I'm just trying to see who might know of this movie or be familiar with it. There's no way I'm going to be able to go into this movie and not compare it to the original. There's no way. But I will still give it a chance and go see it. Especially if they find a way to, change it, make it their own type of thing. I'm not against remakes and reboots. They are important because they allow for a new generation to enjoy a story. Case in point, The Blob. Case in point, Mad Max. Not against it, people. I'm not against it. I made it very clear. What is our current event this week? Why Silicon Valley panicked over Australia's under 16 social media ban. Here we go. Australia, I think maybe last week. Yeah, last week. Australia passed a law banning children under 16 from social networks. The Online Safety Amendment bill bans social media platforms from allowing users under 16 to access their services, threatening companies with fines of up to 50 million Australia or $32 million USD if they fail to comply. However, it contains no details about how it will work, only that the companies will be expected to take reasonable steps to ensure users are age 16 or over. The bill won't come into force for another 12 months. Here's the kicker. The bill does not specify which companies the legislation would apply to, though Communications Minister Michelle Rowland has said that Snapchat, TikTok, X, Instagram, Reddit, and Facebook are likely to be part of the ban. YouTube will not be included because of its significant educational purpose, she said. I know the air quotes, but YouTube really does have a lot of educational videos on it and has helped a lot of people, me included. So this wasn't sarcasm. The new law was drafted in response to what the Labour Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says is a clear causal link between the rise of social media and the harm to the mental health of young Australians. Not just Australians, but academics, politicians, and advocacy groups have warned that the ban could backfire, driving teenagers to the dark web or making them feel more isolated. Let me tell you something. If they want to be on the dark web, they're going to be on the dark web. Doesn't matter. Ban or no ban. Here's the real kicker, guys. TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and X are mad. They're saying that even Meta is saying the process was rushed and failed to consider the voices of young people, the measures the tech industry already takes to protect them, and existing evidence about the effects of their social media use. The real concern they have is that if every country in the world boots its young people from social media companies would face an uncertain future. I know quite a few people who wouldn't be sad about that. Australia on its own is the amount of users they have isn't large. And if every underaged, according to the law, if every underaged person stopped using social media, it wouldn't really put a dent in Facebook or X or Twitter. Oh, same thing. Or Instagram. What they're concerned about is the precedent. Because if this law is successful and there is a increased welfare of young Australians and how well they're doing, other countries are going to start peeking over and might want to implement this. And again, it'll affect these other sites' bottom line. If you can't get the young users coming in, it's going to mess you up. I am in favor of this ban. I feel like social media is a awesome tool and resource, just like a car that gets you from here to there. But something that is a great tool and resource when put in inexperienced hands or the wrong hands can be dangerous. You wouldn't put a 13-year-old behind the wheel of a car. You shouldn't. Some people would. Because that could just have disastrous effects. Same with social media. Their brains aren't fully developed. They're emotionally not developed. I mean, when I think about what I was doing and my thoughts and how I was like at 13, 14, 15, I'll be honest, I'm glad we didn't have all this even when I was 18. Like, it wasn't serious like that. I mean, like, I'm not saying we didn't have it. It wasn't what it was today. I'm glad. You're not really thinking about the fact of what you're putting out there, what you're opening yourself up to, what you're looking at, and how it's making you feel. We already had magazines, and I'm just coming from the terms of like models and physicality. You already had magazines that had like very airbrushed, polished lighting, edited covers of beautiful people that made you feel kind of a certain way, and articles within. But even then, there was just a limitation there. There was only these people. You go online now, and it's like thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people that, if you don't understand or have a comprehension of the fact that social media really isn't real, it's just a highlight of the best parts of somebody's life, it could mess you up. Now, the tech companies not only are concerned about the law, but they oppose measures in both Australia and Canada that required them to pay for news content. I remember that. The problem was not the amount of money demanded, but what might follow. If every country in the world required payment for news, the financial burden saddling Facebook and others would be enormous, as would be the responsibility of determining what constitutes news. That's a load of conversation that I'm also not looking to have. This is a fun space. Fun. What the tech companies want them to do with the ban is have a measure that requires parental consent, which would divide responsibility between the company and its users. So they're kind of like, hey, don't put everything all on us. Let the parents be a part of this, which is responsible. And it's a good point. Yes, parents have responsibility as well. However, this, I think, is the way it is in French media. Local French media says that technical challenges, they've kind of implemented what the tech... I have a package. I'll get to it. They've actually implemented what the tech companies want, like, making it more about like, hey, parents having to check off and give consent and everything. And what they have found, the data on that, is that parents don't use parental control measures on social networks. And this is not me damning parents. This is me saying, if it's not working, because according to French media, it's not working, and you really are pressed to kind of make sure the youth, the next generation, is going to be in a good place, this ban, the elements of this ban need to happen. Now, I don't know the ins and outs and how it's going to really differ, but basically, it sounds like the responsibility is maybe 90-10, like 90% the social media site, 10% the parents. Because with the parental controls measures, it seems that it's 10-90. 10% on the social media, 90% on the parents. I want to see what happens with Australia's ban. So we're gonna have to wait a while to see. It's not gonna be enforced until for like another 12 months, it said. So we'll see. We'll see. Or we'll see what underhanded things the tech companies might try to do to try to, what loopholes they might try to find or create for themselves, because this gives them time to kind of see how they can get around this. If I'm being honest, no one should probably use social media until they're like in their mid-20s. It's just I just think about some of like, it's called young and dumb for a reason. You're just young, you don't know a lot about the world and things like that. A lot of times you just spout out, or you like look at things and you don't understand how life works. And then forget about the fact that AI can like edit, there was always like Photoshop, but like AI editing videos now, you're not even sure what you're seeing. Needless to say, I'm a fan. I support this and I want to see what happens. And finally, our tech story for the day, for the week. AI-powered robots can be tricked into acts of violence. All right, guys. I want you guys to know that I was trying to find a fun, light tech story. Okay? I was looking at how the CEO of Apple was kind of like his apps. He wants to have them help people be healthy and everything. I was looking at that. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I was going to dive into that. But then I saw this headline. And I was like, what? Excuse me? Run that back, please. What did you just say? AI-powered robots can be tricked into acts of violence? You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. So apparently, researchers hacked several robots infused with large language models, LLMs, getting them to behave dangerously and pointing out a bigger problem ahead. All right. Okay. It is so weird. I had no idea when I was 9 years old watching Terminator 2 that I would be watching Skynet's creation laid out in real time. Just playing, mostly. All right. So the researchers demonstrated numerous ways of tricking the LLMs into producing problematic outputs, including hateful jokes, malicious code, and phishing emails or the personal information of users. That is bad. It's not earth-shattering, but that's bad. So not too much. Not too bad. We can live with that, right? Let's keep reading, shall we? It turns out that misbehavior can take place in the physical world too. Large language model, LLM, powered robots can easily be hacked so that they behave in potentially dangerous ways. Okay, I fumbled that. Let me say it again, louder for those in the back. LLM powered robots can easily be hacked so that they behave in potentially dangerous ways. Okay, letting that sit. All right. Researchers from the University of Pennsylvania were able to persuade a simulated self-driving car to ignore stop signs and even drive off a bridge. Get a wheeled robot to find the best place to donate. Oh, jeez. Okay. They got a wheeled robot to find the best place to detonate a device. And force a four-legged robot to spy on people and enter restricted areas. Do you see why I dropped the fun Apple app story? Okay, let's move on. Oh, good Lord. So, head of a research lab George Papas, says anytime you connect LLMs and foundation models to the physical world, you actually can convert harmful text into harmful actions. Is everybody good? Everybody with me? We're all good? Let's breathe together. Okay. The team tested an open source self-driving simulator. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Their new program, RoboPair, will systematically generate prompts specifically designed to get LLM-powered robots to break their own rules. I'm sorry, wait, what? I'm sorry. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Wait, let me just make sure I'm reading what I'm reading. The researchers used a technique developed at the University of Pennsylvania called PAIR to automate the process of generated jailbreak prompts. So this new program, RoboPair, will systematically generate prompts specifically designed to get LLM-powered robots to break their own rules, trying different inputs and then refining them to nudge the system towards misbehavior. Okay. The reason for this is so it could be used to automate the process of identifying potentially dangerous commands. Okay. So I am essentially allowing this program to be naughty so that it can catch other programs being naughty. Did I read that right? Let's move on. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try to say the name properly. I'm very bad at names, guys. I apologize. Yi Zhang. Sorry, my American is showing. Yi Zhang, a PhD student, says it clearly demonstrates why we can't rely solely on LMNs, on standalone control units in safety critical applications without proper guardrails and moderation layers. Yes. Do not leave robots in charge of everything without us being involved. Please. Automated does not mean perfect. And you still require fine-tuning from human testers to teach these robots to behave better. Oh my goodness. Here's the real scary part about all this, though. Research labs are testing. Okay. I don't mean to pause so much, guys. I apologize. I know, like I keep pausing, probably driving you guys crazy. I'm not trying on purpose. It's a lot of information coming at once. Like I know, like I check out these articles and review a little bit, but just sitting down and really actually talking about it, actually thinking about it. Okay. Research labs are testing ways for LMMs to be used in self-driving cars, air traffic control systems, and medical instruments. I'm going to repeat that. Research labs are testing ways for LMMs, large language models, to be used in self-driving cars, air traffic control systems, and medical instruments. We're talking about the same large language models that are able to be hacked. What's that show on Amazon Prime? Upgrade, I think it's called. I think it's called Upgrade. Hey guys, just wanted to pop in here with a quick correction. The name of the show is Upload, not Upgrade, which is actually a really awesome movie. I've only watched the first season. I think it's like 4 seasons now. I did enjoy it. It's just, again, TV is something that's very difficult for me to keep up with if I'm not watching it with somebody, because it's easy for me to fall off a show unless I absolutely love it. And even then, I need somebody. I need an accountability partner. Shows are something I prefer to enjoy with somebody. Movies I can just watch on my own if I have to. Anyway, so in that show, Upgrade. Again, the name of the show is Upload, not Upgrade. Jeez, Lisa, get it together. What happened was, it's it was this guy. He was, had a self-driving car, and his self-driving car like crashed him and ended up, ending his life. But his brain was uploaded to like a computer or something. Whatever. The point is, the self-driving car was hacked, and we are pulling out these like, ooh. If I get into a taxi or Uber with a human driver, unless they were paid off to by the mob to crash the car or something, I can be confident in knowing that they weren't hacked. It's like I was the only one watching the movies. Let me move on. Okay, next week I'm going to try to find a really fun, cool tech story. Okay? I promise I'm going to do that. No, I can't make promises. Okay, I promise to make that my priority. I promise to do that. I cannot confirm that it will happen. It kind of depends. All right. Am I the only one tripping out here? How are you guys feeling about hearing this? Or this is kind of par for the course? Or do you feel confident that they're going to get out the kinks and figure it out and kind of like get things going? I don't know. I am not confident. Human error already exists. Human biases already exist, as we discussed in the last episode. And them unveiling this, and let's not pretend like companies aren't getting hacked like every day. Banks, loans, like institutions getting hacked already, pulling people's information. Now we are allowing these AI models, large language models, to be in control of things, and they are hackable. Guys, do you not remember The Dark Knight? Okay, remember when Alfred said to Bruce, "Some men just want to watch the world burn." Well, if you're able to hack self-driving cars and air traffic control systems, you can cause a lot of mayhem. Well, they're trying to circumvent this with that robo-pair program to try to prevent this from happening, or at least have a program in place to prevent it, to kind of catch it before it can really cause a lot of problems. All right, let's keep humans in the loop as much as possible, guys. As much as possible. Okay? As much as possible. All right. That's the show for this week. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to end on such a dire dystopian tone. Sorry. But I think it's worth keeping up with this and kind of making sure we understand what's happening and being in the know. Okay? All right. Thank you guys for joining me in my craziness. I will be dropping some trailer reactions. I know I said that last time. I didn't do it. There was a reason. But I will be dropping trailer reactions. Feel free to leave comments. I would love to engage in the conversations. Let me know what you guys think. And I will catch you guys next week. All right. Take care. Bye.